Hi, I'm Dennis Weiss for Eagle Communications, and we are in Abilene at the Abilene Public Library. We have a special show for you today, and it's Putting the Community in Community Banking. That's what we're going to call it.
That sounds great.
Kyle Campbell from Astra Bank, and so Putting the Community in Community Banking, you are a platinum level seasoned sponsor for Great Plains Theater this year. You're sponsoring every show. You had a significant contribution, $25,000, and that overarches the entire season of Great Plains Theater. But in the community sense of the word, you stepped up and your community bank said, we're going to prosper this institution because it matters to us. And you get to tell us why.
Well, we've always had a special connection with the theater. Obviously, up until last summer, we were neighbors right across the street, and so there was a lot of community that was built there. But the theater was one of those aspects of Abilene that I was very eager to learn about when we moved to the community more than a decade ago. We were coming from Kansas City, and my wife and I both like the performing arts, and so when we found out that there was going to be a professional theater here in Abilene, we were very excited and we were very interested in seeing what they had to offer. And after just a short amount of time and seeing just a couple of shows, we determined that the level of productions that were being done here were on par with what we saw in Kansas City. And so it's always been something that we've valued in Abilene. And then when you have a situation that happens like what arose with the fire last summer, it was an opportunity for us to really step up and not only say that we valued the theater, but to put some actions to that.
Wow, what a last sentence there, Kyle. Not only say, but put action to words. It's a hard thing in many community things to find an appropriate way to act, to actually make something happen. And in the case of this, that's a significant investment. You know, $25,000 is a lot of money to invest in a community event, but it's so foundational to what that institution's going to be doing. You know, they have to have money. They raise a certain amount of money from ticket sales without a stage currently, but they also need people to step forward and say, it's worth it to spend my dollars here. And you led the way.
Well, and I think it's important for folks within the community to understand that it's not only important to those who are patrons of the theater, but it's also important to business owners of the community, because there are a lot of dollars that are spent within the community of Abilene because people come to theater events. Before the fire, they would have Wednesday matinee shows, and we always joked in our bank that we could always tell it was a Wednesday with a production going on across the street because it was difficult for us to find parking at our own building. But those were people that were coming to the community of Abilene from well outside the community. I couldn't even begin to tell you how many times I saw big charter coaches pull up, and there would be groups of people get off and go to the shows, and then those same charter coaches you would find at restaurants or shopping at different stores within the community of Abilene. So it's very important economically to Abilene as well.
Unfortunately, in the human experiment here, sometimes it takes a disaster for one to focus the attention on what were they, what are they, and what will they be. And that certainly, I think, is true in Great Plains. They made a commitment, that group of people made a commitment. We will go on. They completed their 20th season, and they're getting ready to launch 21 with your support and others. You know, Damn Yankees kicks off here in just a few days, sort of a thing. To me, it's remarkable that the community has been able to pull together and to keep that organization alive. But it does not come by accident.
No, it doesn't come by accident, and it's really a testament to everybody who's been involved, particularly from the staff, the volunteers, and even the financial supporters of the theater, because really, when you look at the past 7 to 8 year time frame that we have been coming through, it's been very difficult economically, yes, and I think we've had conversations about that before. but it has been extremely difficult on the performing arts front. And so where you have seen, in particular on the theater side, where you've seen a lot of professional theater companies cease to exist across the country, you've seen Abilene be the anomaly of where we are a small community where it was already kind of a head scratcher how this organization could exist here. But then on top of that, they've endured the tragedy that they did, and they still continue to thrive. I think it's a testament to Abilene, and I think hopefully one of the positives that can come out of the tragedy that they faced is hopefully there is a rekindling of the awareness that folks within the community have about the importance of the theater, because there's the old adage that familiarity breeds contempt, and I think there was a sense of a lot of people really took the theater for granted until all of a sudden its very existence was threatened.
I looked at the theater, and I'm familiar with their publicity efforts today to describe to people who they are and what they want to do, and the three-legged stool concept of professional theater, the vibrant youth program, and the cinema. It's always interesting to me. I see a lot of people. I get to talk a lot of people about just stuff in my business and their business, and it's always interesting when it comes up in conversation. The other day, a person said to me, wow, I'm getting tags at the county. I said, wow, I'd just love to see that cinema open back up. That was just so good for our community. You know, those opinions of importance that come in from angles, that being able to be in position to hear them and then make an action plan that said, you know, it is important to people. It was important to people. How do we restore that? That's a great question for our community.
I think it is. And you mentioned, I've heard certainly the same feedback about the cinema, but I think one of the things that, a memory that kind of stands out indelibly to me was that evening when the fire was occurring across the street and I was helping with some of the crowd control efforts. One of the biggest groups that was there were the youth that were involved in the youth program, and they were very concerned about what's this going to be like going forward, because this is something where I've invested so much of my time and talent. And so to really see the positive impact that the theaters had, not only from a professional theater standpoint, but also providing the cinema, and I know that that's something that's really been missed by a lot of folks since last summer. And then the youth program is outstanding, and just getting to see a lot of the talent that's come out of that.
Following your line there, I was there that evening as well, and seeing that group of youth huddle together and cry, weep while that building burned was sad, was very impacted. But I have to tell you, seeing those people glue that thing back together, finish their year of youth program, have it up and running now with a brand new director who's enthused, who put on the Godspell just recently, had 26, I think, maybe 23, 26 kids on stage the entire time. I think, if not the best, one of the best youth performances I've ever seen. Means they're doing their part.
Right.
They've got that thing fired up and running on all 8 cylinders. What an opportunity it is to have you on camera, because there are other people, Kyle, that what can I do? Buy a ticket, buy 5, buy 10, invite your relatives, come to a performance. There's so many opportunities that community banking and Astra Bank has led the way here, but there's a lot left to do.
Well, there is a lot left to do, and it is one of those things that we are very much wanting to, we invest in the community, and this is one of the ways that we can invest in the community, is by being a seasoned underwriter for the theater. But I also wouldn't want folks who see this to think, well, the bank did this and it's significantly more than what I could do.
Right.
So what I could do is not important, but every little bit helps, because really when you look at an organization like the theater, Astra Bank may provide kind of, as you put it, the umbrella gift that kind of spreads across the entire season. but it's more of the umbrella gift. The foundation is really more in the people who buy, whether it's full season tickets would certainly be great, but even if flex tickets or even singles performance tickets. And those folks who say, I can't support the theater by giving, $100, $500, $1,000 a year, but a $20 donation, that helps. And it's all of those little blocks that really form a solid foundation for the theater. We're just kind of the umbrella, but the foundation is people who are much more critical.
Couldn't agree more. I believe that if a person who hasn't been to a professional show here or a youth program show here, if they come, pay the ticket price, walk in, sit down, enjoy the evening, first of all, they'll get their money's worth that day.
Right.
But for the community, when that person now goes back out into their circle of friends, including Facebook friends and letter writing friends or phone calling friends, and what you do over the weekend, that has the potentiality of improving our outcome in this community by huge degrees that they could never have enough advertising dollars to pay for.
Right.
It's called come and enjoy the show and then tell a friend. You want to be involved in economic development in Abilene, Kansas, come to a show at Great Plains and then tell a friend.
Absolutely.
What a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to take you in
all right.
This way. You ready?
All right.
Putting the community in community banking.
Okay.
We filmed a couple shows about Astra Bank, and you've sat in this chair before, but talking about you and your bank. So we're going to glue this together. Community banking, that's a name for a certain classification of bank. That's kind of, okay, it's a community owned, usually privately held, maybe closely held. But community banking means I can walk in and ask somebody for a loan, and I'm probably talking to the person who's going to either grant or deny it and will ask all the questions he or she wants to know about me.
Right.
And the decision is made right there, funded right there. That is a luxury that we enjoy in the Midwest that many people outside of the rest of the country know nothing about because community banking doesn't exist in their part of the world. So here's my premise. I think community banking is hugely important to the growth of towns like Abilene.
Right.
I don't know if there's a way to put a number on it, because ideas will be heard here where they would not be heard in another place. The new idea, the idea that's maybe even underdeveloped, that you folks can add value to and say, well, I like your idea, but you need some help with your plan. Let's talk about that. Your bank does those kinds of things as a community bank. And so you're underwriting the season of Great Plains, but you also underwrite many of the businesses in our community through community banking, through individual loans to people who are out purchasing a house or a car or a business. How do you glue those concepts together in your board of directors meeting and go, for my community to prosper, I need Great Plains to prosper. I need Bob's Plumbing to prosper. And how do you talk about those in your board meetings? The value of which to the camera, Kyle, is there are people who own businesses watching this program who haven't figured out how yet.
Right.
You obviously have. So if we can explain to them.
Right. Well, I think starting back, taking a step back, and then we'll narrow it back down into Astra Bank, we talk about community banking as a whole, and I think it is one of those things that provides an outstanding economic engine for the United States as a whole. Yes, we can have lots of debates about how that engine's functioning now versus how it's functioned in decades prior. But one of the things that is of tremendous value and that hardly anybody, if anybody, disputes is that community banks across this country provide a disproportionate amount of the small non-consumer loans. And that's said in bankerese when I say non-consumer. And what I really mean for this area is what we're doing is we're providing the small loans to the local businesses, some of whom may be mom and pop shops on Main Street, some of which may be businesses just operating out of somebody's house. We're also providing loans to small farmers, those people who are just, they're young farmers just getting started, or they're farmers who are trying to increase their acreage and increase their operation size. So that's what community banks do, and they do it very well. And Astra Bank fits within that model. And I've said it numerous times, both to our board of directors and to our staff, and that is, over the long term, it is my fundamental belief that Astra Bank will be no more successful than the communities that we serve. So if Astra Bank's going to thrive, we need Abilene to thrive, we need Chapman to thrive, we need Sutton, Nebraska to thrive, the places where we are. And as banking continues to evolve and change, one of the things that's coming along with the increased regulatory environment in which we operate is it costs more money to serve customers. And so you're going to see more banking consolidation. But what I have found is that people in Abilene, Kansas want to have the same banking services offered to them as friends that they may have in the Kansas City metropolitan area or in New York or any other place. And so that's what we're striving to do, and so we've got to have certain size to do that. But at the same point in time, I don't ever want us to lose the personal connection with our customers, because it's very important for our customers because they feel comfortable. It's the relationship that they have. But at the same point in time, it's very critical to the bank for us to be able to fulfill our mission statement, which is turning dollars into fulfilled dreams. Because really, at the end of the day, people want dollars because it enables them to do something else. We bankers are the only odd ones that really get excited about a checking account or a loan. Our customers are much more excited about what that checking account can do for them and what that loan can do for them.
And now we're back to Great Plains Cedar, because your capitalization of that umbrella over the top of this season means that Abilene will have another year of opportunity to see what we can do with the asset called Great Plains Theater. And it's so unique. It's such one of the things that make Abilene, Abilene.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, when I moved here, and I believe the same is still true, we have the only professional theater for about a 500-mile stretch of highway between Kansas City and Denver. And that is really a unique asset. We're a community of unique assets, and this is one that's important to us.
And I don't know this as a fact, but I'm thinking through about half a dozen conversations here in Lightspeed, and I would bet that we're probably the only community further than that that has a continuously running 21-year history.
Right.
I think there are community theaters, I mean professional theaters within the outside boundaries there that have come and gone. You know, this one is 21 years uninterrupted, and that is a remarkable history. As we look at ending our program, we have a couple minutes left. I want to personally thank you for being willing to sit down with your board and say that an investment in Great Plains Cedar is good for Astra Bank. I'm even prouder of you for sitting there and being able to say it in front of everybody that an investment in Great Plains Cedar is good for my bank. Because if it's good for Astra Bank, it's probably good for any business that's watching. Maybe not to the same scale, but an investment in our community will pay dividends at our business. I've said it many times on camera. We believe the same thing at Eagle that you just said about Astra. We can not possibly prosper more than our community does. It's impossible. If we serve the community first, we'll get our share of the profit. Interestingly enough, I learned that this week that it's been in the Kiwanis group forever, a saying that says, "He who serves the best profits the most." Service is first, profit follows. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. We've always had the mantra in Astra Bank, if we take care of the customer and keep them happy and satisfied, everything else is going to follow.
Well, thank you, sir, for leading the way with Great Plains Theater, underwriting the season. I appreciate that fact, and I appreciate the fact that you're willing to sit here and tell folks that they can follow right along. We can all make this thing a great day in Abilene, Kansas, and Great Plains Theater.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome, Kyle. Folks, thanks for watching today. We appreciate you there at home. Come to Great Plains Theater, buy a ticket, have fun, tell somebody, and then when you're stopping in at Astra Bank, you can say thanks over there. They'd really appreciate hearing from you. For Eagle Communications, I'm Dennis Weiss. Have a great day.